All right, what's up, everybody? I hope you're all having a great day today because I just got done fiending Battlefield 6 open beta this weekend, and I got some things to say, man. I gotta say, in all honesty, it was straight gas, all right? Dice, I'm pouring honey on you, GOAT, because this game felt like it was coming back to form from the OG days, Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4, my two GOATs. But I do have some issues with this game, although I really enjoyed my entire time playing this game, especially when I played with buddies. There are some problems, and I want to get into those here, as well as the things I also really liked. All right, so I think it's best if I start with the things I did not like about Battlefield 6, and there really aren't many, but the things I did not like are pretty big in my opinion, and it will affect my enjoyment of the game going forward if I don't see some sort of changes or, some sort of resolution for these things, right? All right, so like I said, I really enjoyed Battlefield 6, the beta this weekend, but one of my biggest issues was the extremely noticeable lack of verticality within the maps that were playable for this beta. So there were three maps that were available: Siege of Cairo, Iberian Offensive, and Liberation Peak. Now, Siege of Cairo and Iberian Offensive are genuinely just really small maps for Conquest, in my opinion. And I'm also not a huge fan of small maps in Conquest. I like big maps. I like having air vehicles, multiple jets, helicopters, ground vehicles as well. I'm not as big of a fan of the smaller Conquest maps. But in general, these maps just clearly lack verticality, as you could not go on any rooftops or any buildings in these two maps. Now, there were stairs leading up to the roofs that you should have in any other circumstance been able to go to, especially in a battlefield. But for some reason, the doors were just locked and indestructible. And I found that just to be really ridiculous because it was just basically handcuffing people into not being able to play the game they want. In the OG Battlefields, like Battlefield 3 and 4, especially Battlefield 4, verticality was huge. You could basically access any rooftop. You can access any area of the map basically, and it really gave a route for like recon players or snipers to set up positions and have a strategic advantage on the battlefield. Whereas this game, it's essentially just not there. You cannot go onto the rooftops of any of the buildings, and in two of those maps, like I said, there's no air vehicles, so there's just no way to do that. There's just zero verticality. And in Liberation Peak, there's absolutely no buildings, so there's no verticality in that sense either. And I just find that to be really odd in a Battlefield game that, thrived off stuff like that in the past. And especially with this whole trying to go back to their identity thing. A big issue with Battlefield 2042 was the fact that there was basically no buildings. Every map was horrid. They were just massive empty fields with, there might be buildings in the fucking perimeter of the map, but you couldn't really use them to your advantage at all. And I'm just scared that it's going to be the same old thing with this Battlefield, where they just basically restrict your freedom and they just want to keep you on the ground in order to, get those Call of Duty type players satisfied, because it's just all fast paced, super fast paced, fast time to kill essentially. And I don't have an issue with the time to kill because, games like Battlefield 3 had a pretty fast time to kill, and I love that game. So that's not an issue for me. But the lack of verticality definitely is a big no-no in my opinion. I love getting on rooftops. It just seems like these maps are not sniper friendly in any way whatsoever. There's almost no reason to play a recon or a sniper in those two maps, Siege of Cairo and Iberian Offensive, because they have just no role. There's no role for them to play unless you just want to use them as C4 bait to take out tanks. That's really all they can do. And I was just a little bit disappointed by that. And obviously, other than that, the maps were great. Like, I really enjoyed playing them. I just didn't think it was up to that level of verticality that you want to see in Battlefield. And just to go off what I was saying a little bit earlier about the map sizes, I thought the maps that were available were just not big enough in my opinion. And I know, I get it's a play test, so maybe they were just trying to, scout out people's opinions on things. They weren't showing their biggest maps. And I really hope that's the case because I just thought those maps were not big enough at all, especially for Conquest. I didn't play that other domination or team deathmatch mode. I only stuck to breakthrough and Conquest, and I just thought the maps were not big enough at all. When you're playing Battlefield, you want all out war, all out Battlefield, jets, helicopters, like I said before, tanks, APCs, anti-air tanks, everything, the whole shebang. That's what I really like about Battlefield games. And I don't think the maps that were shown really give you that. except maybe Liberation. But then again, I really thought Liberation is still a small map, even for that. I feel like the Jets didn't have a lot of room to work with in that map. The helicopters are pretty good; they're OP in that map, but the Jets could use a lot better of place to operate, in my opinion. I think it could be a lot better. And I just hope, when we get maybe in the next beta period or, when the game releases, there's a lot more maps that have bigger scale and bigger size. It's not a huge complaint, but I really do hope they have bigger maps. So some other issues I had are more class specific. So I still just don't love the fact that every class can revive. I really prefer the old mechanics where the medic or the support class had the revives and the assault class was ammo support. Now, the support class has both of those things. They have the defibrillators and ammo support as well, whereas the assault class just has a grenade launcher gadget and a secondary primary weapon, like an additional primary weapon, and that is just super OP. The assault class goes crazy in this game. The shotgun needs to be nerfed to shit because it's just way too OP. You're one-shotting guys from like 20 yards away. It's ridiculous. It makes for some fun clips, but it's just dumb. And it's just really fucking annoying when you're in a building and you just get one tapped as soon as you turn a corner by a shotgun. There's almost no reason to not bring the shotgun if you're an assault class player. So yeah, that is something I think needs to be worked on, and I'm sure they will. I'm sure they're taking all the advice into account and they're gonna adjust accordingly. So lastly, in regards to the things I didn't like, I just got a few nitpicks. One is just how fast the movement speed is and just the pace of the game in general. I think it's a little bit too fast paced, and it's not huge. I don't think it really affects the gameplay too much, but I could see it getting toned down just a little bit in terms of movement speed. I do really wish the pace was a little bit slowed down, but nothing crazy because it's almost there, almost perfect, but not quite. And lastly, this one's a little bit funny. I see the memes online are pretty jokes. The sniper glint in this game is just ridiculously noticeable. On Liberation, you could literally just see a wave of sniper glint anytime you look up into the mountains or wherever. You're getting sniped left and right. And as a sniper player, it's a little bit annoying just knowing that you're getting spotted no matter where you are. You can get the nicest spot, set up the perfect position. As soon as you scope in, you're going to get fucking sniped. And that's just a little bit of an issue. And I've heard that they are already fixing that maybe for the next part of the beta or, the final game. But anyways, that's really it for my complaints. Now I'm going to talk about the things I really enjoyed, and there's a lot I really enjoyed. All right, so now that I got my dislikes out of the way, I can go full glaze mode on Battlefield 6 because I really do feel like they nailed it, man. Like, we're back to form. If they fix some of the things I was saying before or there's some sort of resolution, dude, we're in the clear, and I think it's safe to say we're back. This isn't a 2042 situation. The maps are good. The guns are good. All the guns are viable. They all feel like they have their spot in the sandbox. There's really nothing that's super OP except really the shotgun. And, I think they're already going to fix that. So either way, the guns feel great. The sound design is immaculate. It really feels like you're in a war zone out there. Just bullets whizzing by. The destruction. Dude, I'm about to bust. Because the destruction in this game is perfect. It feels like, honestly, like Bad Company days where the destruction was just god tier level. And I'm really getting that vibe again with Battlefield 6. I think they don't have to change anything about it. I saw some people complaining a bit online about the destruction before the beta came out. I think we could put those concerns to rest because I think everyone agrees that it was insane and just incredible. So really nothing to change there. The vehicles, the ones we got to use, the tanks felt juicy as hell. They hit hard. They should hit hard. They're pretty overpowered, especially when you got like a gunner and, maybe a couple engineers just blasting away, healing you. It's amazing. You really feel that like power fantasy of being in like a military sim. It feels great. The air vehicles were fantastic. I really enjoyed my time in the jet. I think like I said before, I wish there was a bigger map so you could have more room to operate in the jet, which I'm sure there will be. I really hope so, at least. The helicopter gameplay was great too. If you got a good pilot, you're wiping teams, you're wiping squads. Everything felt really great, especially with the vehicles. Nothing really to change there. I think we're really getting back to form. you're really getting those Battlefield moments. Corny as hell, but you really are getting those moments, and it just feels amazing, man. It feels like we're actually back. Another thing I really liked was the class locked weapons. I really hate the fact that there is another option and you could pick and choose. I think Battlefield's identity is class locked weapons, and I think they should honestly just scrap the other one. Don't try to please fans of the game that aren't fans. Like if you try to please everyone, you'll end up pleasing no one. So I think what they should honestly do is just scrap that, keep the class locked weapon game modes, and that's about it, and just leave it at that because that's how Battlefield is supposed to be played. That's the way it was intended. So there's no reason, to keep that other mode. I think most people agree, especially the hardcore Battlefield fans. Now, another thing I noticed, which was in stark contrast to more recent Battlefield games, is team play is back. When I was in a tank, you'd be hard pressed to find a tank that didn't have an engineer with him constantly repairing the tank and helping it get its health back up. When you had medics around, you would most likely always get a revive, always get like an ammo support drop. And I just don't remember that from Battlefield 2042 or Battlefield 5. That just was lacking in that game. And in this, it's clearly back. Maybe that's just because we're playing a beta and, these are hardcore fans mostly coming to try out the beta. But if it stays like that, it would be incredible, man, because I just had a great time really helping the team try to win. Most people were trying to play objective. So yeah, incredible team play wise. Another thing I really enjoyed was the fact that there's no skill based matchmaking. Now, this is super noticeable. When you have a good game, you don't just automatically get loaded into a team of sweats, just absolutely putting their nuts on your forehead for an entire fucking 40-minute conquest game. You actually were able to play 2 games in a row and enjoy yourself. And a lot of games are missing that, especially FPS games like Call of Duty. You play one good game and then you're playing with fucking FaZe Clan right after. So yeah, love the no skill based matchmaking. Love the team play aspect of this game. I really don't have much else to say. I think the proof is in the pudding. If you played the beta, you'll know what I'm saying is true. And if you disagree, I mean, I guess you could let me know. Overall, man, I'd gotta say probably my favorite map was Liberation Peak just because snipers were viable there and I love playing recon and I love playing in the jet and in the helicopter. It had everything you want from a conquest map. So that was definitely my favorite. My least favorite map's gotta be Iberian. I don't like how the vehicle layout is. I don't like that it's just not sniper friendly at all. There's no air vehicles. You can't get on the rooftops, like I said before. Just not a great map, in my own opinion, personally. My favorite class, probably engineer. I think engineers are going to be extremely viable in this game. The RPG or the javelin are going to be extremely useful. They're the weapons that they're allowed to use are as well. They hit hard and they have like no recoil, so there's that. And yeah, probably my least favorite class I would probably say right now for me personally is medic, just because I don't like using LMGs as much, and I personally just would rather use an assault class that has that secondary shotgun because it's just easy kills, or sniper because I think sniper is just super satisfying, and it is always satisfying in Battlefield, and that has not changed in Battlefield 6. So yeah. Anyway, guys, that's about it for this, reviewer opinion on the Battlefield beta. If you have thoughts, drop them in the comment section below. If you like this content, subscribe. Peace.